Welcome to this week's online class. Today we're going to talk about the importance of staying engaged in your college classes. Before we start though, it might be helpful to explain the difference between your high school and college classes and how they have differing expectations for participation and engagement. Chances are, in your high school classes, teachers did not necessarily expect you to contribute to class. If your high school was like mine, it's likely that you passively absorbed the material while the teacher taught, perhaps raising your hand from time to time to ask a question. Then you might have done a worksheet or taken a test to demonstrate your learning. College classes, however, sometimes come with a whole different set of expectations. To be successful in your college classes, you usually have to do more than simply take up space in a seat. Many modern classes are built around the teaching philosophy of discussion-based learning. In a nutshell, this philosophy finds that class discussions are more effective than traditional lectures because they force students to actively process the new material rather than passively absorb it. However, for discussion-based learning to work, you need to be an active participant in the discussion. Furthermore, some instructors give out participation grades based on how much a student actively contributes to class. Often, these grades make up about 10 to 15% of a student's total grade, and in some cases can make the difference between an A and a B, or a B and a C. There are certainly pros and cons to participation grades, as they can sometimes hurt students who are shy or have legitimate anxiety about speaking up in class. If your instructor has a participation grade built into their grading breakdown and you have a hard time volunteering your thoughts in front of the class, consider having a one-on-one conversation with your instructor about the issue. Believe it or not, I was a very shy student when I was in college. This was a big problem because many of my English classes for my English major were centered around discussion-based learning. It was a struggle to contribute to class, even when I was well prepared to do so. Eventually, I started going to my professor's office hours to converse about the class material and thus show them that I was actively engaged with what was going on in class. Additionally, since I was scared to raise my hand, I set up an arrangement with some of my professors to call on me at random from time to time. This not only forced me to contribute to class discussions, but was also a way to hold myself accountable for completing each week's reading and homework assignments. I knew I had to get them done in case the instructor called on me. While this class does not have a participation grade, it is still important to actively engage in class discussions. Try to set small goals for yourself and work your way up. For this week, for example, you might make it your goal to speak up just once. Then, for the next week, you might speak up twice until you eventually become comfortable with regularly contributing to class. But let's back up a little bit. In order to participate in class, you have to attend class. I always find absenteeism to be a slippery slope. The more classes you miss, the easier it will be for you to miss additional classes in the future. Furthermore, many college courses incorporate activities that take place during class hours. Many times, these activities are graded and incorporated into your overall course grade. Often, these activities cannot be replicated outside of class, meaning they are impossible for you to make up. If you miss these classes and thus these activities, you will usually receive an automatic 0 for the activity. Unlike high school, your teacher has no obligation to allow you to make up missed work or teach you the missed material. In classes such as math and science, where course content often builds upon previous classes, missing one single class can put you far behind, making it practically impossible to catch up without some extra instruction or tutoring. Keep all this in mind when choosing your course schedule when you register for classes. Don't choose a class that meets at a time that conflicts with your work schedule. Likewise, don't choose an early morning class when you know you have trouble getting to campus on time. While we certainly understand that many students have to work their way through school and have conflicting family obligations, work is not a valid acceptable excuse for missing class. When you do come to class, it is important to arrive prepared. Consider looking over the syllabus or course schedule before you arrive to identify what topic will be covered in that day's class, and make sure you have completed all the required reading for that day or week. Many times your teacher will teach with the assumption that you've completed your reading assignments. If you haven't done your reading, you might be missing some of the base knowledge the reading was meant to provide you, making it difficult to participate in class discussion and answer your instructor's questions. Finally, make sure you bring any necessary materials with you to class. Bring your textbook unless your instructor states otherwise, as well as, at the very least, some paper and a writing utensil. Don't depend on your instructor or a classmate to provide these for you. Despite your instructor's best efforts, classrooms can be littered with distractions. While distractions are inevitable, there are a few things you can do to limit them. First, you should choose your seat strategically. Constance Stanley, who has researched student engagement, suggests sitting in the T-zone, aka the front and center of the classroom. Also, eliminate technological distractions by turning off cell phones and logging off your social media accounts if you're using a computer during class. Whether we like it or not, our cell phones have a powerful hold on our attention spans. Simply noticing that you've received a text message or a phone call can take you out of the moment and hinder your ability to stay focused on your instructor. Likewise, it sends your instructor the message that you care more about your text messages than her class, creating a negative impression. In conclusion, the takeaways from today's online lesson are: participate in class, attend class, arrive to class prepared, and eliminate distractions. The discussion board assignment for this week will ask you to reflect on your own class engagement thus far.